I used to suffer from sleep paralysis, night terrors. For those of you who are fortunate enough to be unaware as to what night terrors are, essentially, for most people anyway, it's a condition when you fall asleep and you have wildly vivid, terrifying nightmares. Nightmares that are so real you feel as if they actually happened when you woke up. Accompanying this is usually the sensation of being awake in bed during the nightmare. Usually the victim of the night terror would feel absolutely frozen in place in their bed. From the corner of their eye, they'd see a creature or a figure or a monster, whatever it was, slowly creep out from the corners of their room or from under the bed. The figure would then make its way above the victim, hovering over their sleeping yet awake body for minutes on end, with the sleeper totally unable to do anything about it. You can't scream, you can't move. Sometimes you can't even close your eyes. You are frozen in place. And then eventually it all melts away and you wake up the next morning more tired than the night before. I was plagued by these kinds of night terrors for a long time, and they occurred in almost the exact way I mentioned. The figure would crawl up on my bed, and it was a tall, humanoid-looking figure with these large, empty eyes and a solid body which had almost no characteristics at all, like an alien, or like a child's drawing. The only details on its formless body were countless sutures, almost like it was a stuffed animal that had torn and been resealed over and over again. I remember the night that convinced me that the night terrors and the figure were real, not just figments of my imagination, not just nightmares. I opened my eyes in the middle of the night, unable to move, just like has happened so many times in the past, and the figure slowly crawled up from under my bed and hovered right above me on all fours. It was breathing softly, almost growling. I wasn't able to move or scream, but I tried concentrating as hard as I could to get something to move, but I was unable to. I could have sworn I moved my head just a bit, but I can't be sure. Just then the creature opened its mouth and this warm, thick, unearthly drool dripped from its mouth onto my face. It was horrifying and disgusting at the same time. And that's the last thing I remember before abruptly waking up the next morning. And when I did wake up, the first thing I noticed was my face. It was damp. I wiped my face with my hand, and it was the same slimy, thick drool from the creature. That was when I realized these were more than dreams. I started doing some heavy-duty research onto the topic of night terrors, sleep demons, sleep paralysis. I read first-hand accounts, I studied sleeping patterns, I even researched the individual creatures that people were seeing. They were all, without fail, terrifying. Horrible creatures that sought to do terrible things to the humans that they caught. Invaders from another dimension that hunted at night, striking from the very place people feel the safest, their bedrooms. You don't have to believe my research. You don't have to believe what I'm saying about these sleep demons and how dangerous they truly are. But if you take one thing away from this story of mine and my incessant rambling, let it be this. Our bodies are miraculous things. They're designed to protect us when we're in danger, even if we don't consciously know that we are. I think that's what's happening during sleep paralysis. Because the one thing that I've uncovered regarding these creatures, these demons, one thing that they all seem to have in common in every piece of literature and research that I've read is they sense their prey through movement. Laren was doing his trick at the wheel. The rest of the crew was scattered around one place or another, and it was quiet as can be. Then all at once, wacko! This thing hits the deck right in front of McLaren. He lets go a screech that turned my blood cold, and he falls down in a faint. The second mate starts yelling that somebody has fallen from aloft. Laying out there just forward to the wheel was someone or something dressed in oilskins with blood oozing out from underneath. The captain ran to fetch a big light from his cabin so he could see who it was. They kind of straightened him out to get a good look at him. He was a big, ugly-looking devil. Nobody knew who he was or what he was doing up there. At least nobody was saying. When McLaren came to from his faint, they tried to get something out of him. All he did was jabber away and keep rolling those big, wild-looking eyes of his. Everybody was getting more and more